Hello world and welcome back, and we'll continue in this video. We'll go ahead and start all this journey with code and developing on Elrond. By starting off, I figured just setting up a good environment to do all your development work on, and it kind of worked out because the other uh, OS image I was working on to do the ping pong smart contract example set up by the Elrond team. I was downloading multiple versions and copies of smart contracts that they had as examples, but it quickly ate up my hard disk space for it, and yeah, it just the amount of effort to mount and extend a drive and add it would just pretty much take as much effort for me to just spin up a new image, and I felt, it's a good time to kind of just walk you through the same steps so you can do this yourself. So I figured it was a good time for me to record this here. So we'll get started by making our way to the Ubuntu website to download the current version of it. And you'd go ahead and click on the download button for any long-term support. A lot of documentation that Elrond has is usually set in the Ubuntu environment of version 20, so I'm doing 22. I figured since I'm doing this, it's probably a little bit more current than what Elrond has on their documentation for the time being, and this will be more closer to the version you will be installing and working with moving forward until maybe the documentation gets updated. But once you download there, I already downloaded my copy, so you don't have to wait. So I'll go back inside my VM software. You can use the free version, VirtualBox, I believe, and I think that's the Oracle software. But I'm using VMware just for VMware a little bit better. Personal preference. Just look for location of where you downloaded that image. You can click in next here. And I like to usually start off like that. I usually save it in a different location here because I have a little bit more hard drive space. I learned my mistake here last time. Now I'm going to give it a little bit more space there. I usually like to store it in a single image file to easily move around and whatnot. That's just a personal preference kind of thing. I also adjust the specs here depending on what your computer can tolerate. And then just spin that up. And then I'll pause until we get some more progress. Alright, so now you can go ahead and install it. Set up your configurations to however you like it. And keep this as vanilla, so we'll just do this for now. When I say vanilla, I mean it'll be a raw base image. And we'll go. So we'll just set this up, however your preferences are. And just let it do its thing. I'm gonna pause until it finishes. Alrighty, so the installation completed. Instead of restarting though, I'm gonna just shut it down. And now shut it down. And the reason why I'm shutting it down is I'm trying to preserve it as a baseline raw image. And from here, I'm going to clone it. That way I keep a baseline always ready to go. I personally like to create a full-on clone instead of having it linked or doing snapshots. It's a personal preference, but you may find yours. Alright, so I'll go ahead and let it do its thing here. Alright, looks like it completed. There we are. So now we're ready to go. Alright. Do some initial setup here. Don't like to send out info. Keep it private. And there is some interesting stuff I would like to see here. That's what's kind of cool about the new version of Ubuntu is it gives you this software center. It's pretty nice. And I think it pretty much does a quick app upgrade and app update and whatnot. So we'll let that do its thing. Okay, and once that looks good, we can look for the software that we want to do. Here it is. So we'll install that now. Alrighty, so it looks like the updater completed. Go ahead and restart. There we are. Alright. So, usually like to install vscode. While that installs, usually like to do Control T. That's Control Alt T. That brings up the terminal. What I do is I usually add that to favorites. And while that installs, I also like to install Discord. That way it helps me kind of save some snippets of code or things I'm working on or a little bit of files up in to the cloud rather than having them stored locally. So while that goes, I'll also fire up the documentation we'll be following. I'll be on the Elrond documentation site. So Discord looks like it's good to go. So I'll add that to favorites too. I'll set that up later. Now I'll just go to box.ron.com. I can go ahead and go down to install erdpy. So erdpy is pretty much a Python-based CLI SDK that allows us to run some commands to query or extract or upload and deploy data, smart contracts, from into the Elrond blockchain. And we'll go ahead and pretty much follow this here. There may be some slight differences. For example, I think we're on Python 3.10, so we may have to slightly deviate from these instructions just to kind of go with the flow here. Okay, just check on. So it looks like code may be done installing too. So I'm going to just cancel it. So we have code. And I'll pin that to my favorites. Go to high contrast. And I'll just close that for now. So let's go ahead and follow these instructions. Just make sure. Looks like we're good to go. Okay. Don't think we have Python installed either. And just make sure we're all. Sure we got that. Now I think this is where you have to do, whoops. Okay, that looks good. Now we can carry on here. Okay. So it still doesn't recognize erdpy in the path. So erdpy in the path. So see if this works. And rerun that command again. Okay. So still looks like it doesn't recognize it. So let's see if we can do this here. Okay. Let's see if restarting the terminal will work. Nope, still doesn't. I think maybe one of these commands will help us out. Nope, still doesn't. Let's try to close, reopen. Nothing. Let's see if this one does it. Hmm. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Okay, closing, reopen. Nope. Let's see if maybe installing Visual Studio Code will help us here. I should like to install some of these here. Alright. So installed the Elrond SDK, so I'm gonna create a folder, test directory. So in here, I'll go ahead and set this up. And I think you can do Control Shift P opens up the command prompt here, command palette. Type in Elrond, set up workspace. Okay, so it should input all these files here. It's kind of nice. Actually, I just move that inside there. So let's try and open up terminal, command shift tilde. Is this? Yeah, so now that has erdpy set up. So I guess following the command line doesn't really work. I don't know. Well, that's odd. But it's set up here, and now as I type erdpy, I have all the commands there. Okay, so let's go ahead and try and restart this. Maybe that'll kick the terminal back into gear too sometimes. Alright, let's see if this works. Oh, there we go. Very nice. So now we've successfully installed erdpy, a command line interface tool that's based on Python and stuff. And we also got Visual Studio Code installed in our virtualized Ubuntu environment that we're going to dedicate to code and developing on the Elrond network. See, yep, looks good. And what's cool is once you set this Elrond Workspace Explorer up, it can automatically detect the smart contracts you have in your project, and it also pulls the repository, and you can install files from here directly into your workspace. See all these templates. So for our next example, we'll walk through and run the build your app in 15 minutes as an example. And before that, we may want to kind of explore a little bit of the erdpy and see how to use the command line interface too. So we'll check that out. So we'll finish off here. I think that's a good start. Get your workspace all ready and set up for the next foot of our journey. All right, everyone. Thank you for your time. Appreciate your patience, and hope to see you in the next episode. Hope you're finding these videos helpful. And again, I'm trying to approach this with the mindset of taking somebody who's entirely new to the blockchain development landscape and kind of give them the opportunity to use these tools and navigate through it, so that way we can build the awareness, build the mass adoption, and getting some more brilliant minds to create magnificent pieces of work and architecture and platforms and software on the Elrond blockchain. Yeah, so if you find these useful, hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell, and hopefully stay tuned for the new episode. And if you have any comments, leave them down. Any areas of focus or questions that you would like to discuss, or if there's any tips and tricks that you can offer the community, it's always welcome gracefully, and we accept any constructive criticism and anything like that too. So with that, I bid you adieu, and happy coding. Stay safe, everyone. Talk to you later. Bye.